Okay, folks, we didn't want to leave everybody hanging here and not finish chapter 10 with the woman here out of chapter 9, this vision of the woman. And so it's here in chapter 10. Esdras is comforting the woman in the field, and then she vanishes away, and a city appeareth in her place. Then the angel declareth these visions in the field. Okay, so we get it explained to us. First, the vision, the similitude vision, and then the explanation. Here in chapter 10. So, chapter 10, in the book of Second Esdras, verse 1, it says, "And it so came to pass that when my son was entered into his wedding chamber, he fell down and died." Okay? And that is right there, folks. That's part of the vision, and that's the lady talking to Esdras. Then we all overthrew the lights, and all my neighbors rose up to comfort me. So I took my rest unto the second day at night. 3, and it came to pass, when they had all left off to comfort me, to the end I might be quiet, then rose I up by night and fled, and came hither into this field, as thou seest. In 4. And I do now purpose not to return to the city, but here to stay, and neither to eat nor drink, but continually to mourn and to fast until I die. Then left I the meditations wherein I was, and spake to her in anger, this is Esdras, saying, 6, Thou foolish woman, above all others, seest thou not our mourning, and what happeneth unto us? Okay, so he was thinking about, he said he left off his meditations, and that's the meditations about the casting down of Jerusalem and the temple, etc. And they're carrying away. And so now he's admonishing her. In 8 it says, And now, seeing we all mourn and are sad, for we are all in heaviness, art thou grieved for one son? Question mark. For ask the earth, and she shall tell thee that it is she which ought to mourn for the fall of so many that grow upon her. Okay, now he's going back to what the angel told him, what God Almighty told him through the angel, and that is that there's a lot of people, there's a lot of stubble out here, folks. There's a lot of people that won't get through the narrow way. And he's telling you, why don't you mourn over that, lady? In 10 it says, For out of her came all at the first, and out of her shall all others come. And behold, they walk almost all into destruction, and a multitude of them is utterly rooted out. So it's dust to dust, and many people that don't make it through the narrow way. 11, Who then should make more mourning than she that hath lost so great a multitude? And not thou, which art sorry but for one. Question mark. Okay. So he's talking about Mother Earth, and she's lost all these children. And here you are, just mourning over the one son, when there's a whole lot more here when it comes to the earth, and that's Mother Earth. And 12, But if thou sayest unto me, My lamentation is not like the earth's, because I have lost the fruit of my womb, which I brought forth with pains, and bear with sorrows. 13, But the earth not so. Now he's keep in mind here, he's telling her if this is what you're saying. Okay, she isn't saying that, but he's saying if this is what you are saying. But the earth not so, for the multitude present in it, according to the course of the earth, is gone as it came. So there that goes back to it all can't fit all at once on the earth, that we had to go course by course, time by time. Now, if she says that, this is what he's going to say back to her. Then say I unto thee, like as thou hast brought forth with labor, even so the earth also hath given her fruit, namely man, ever since the beginning, unto him that made her. Now, therefore, keep thy sorrow to thyself, and bear with good courage that which hath befallen thee. For if thou, and he's really scolding her now, for if thou shalt acknowledge the determination of God to be just, thou shalt both receive thy son in time, and shalt be commended amongst women. Okay, now he's telling her this, but he'll end up taking a good look in the mirror. He's actually saying this to her, but this is for himself. He's being taught this. 17, go thy way then into the city to thine husband. 18, and she said unto me, that will I not do. I will not go into the city, but here will I die. So we switch gears there. 19, so I proceeded to speak further unto her, and said, do not so, do not so. In 20, but be counseled by me, for how many are the adversities of Zion. 20, do not so, but be counseled by me, for how many are the adversities of Zion. Be comforted in regard of the sorrow of Jerusalem. For thou seest that our sanctuary, capital S, is laid waste, our altar broken down, our temple destroyed. Period. 22. Our palfrey is laid on the ground, our song is put to silence, our rejoicing is at an end, the light of our candlestick is put out, the ark, capital A, of our covenant is spoiled, our holy things are defiled, and the name that is called upon us is almost profaned. Our children are put to shame, our priests are burnt, our Levites are gone into captivity, our virgins are defiled, and our wives ravished, our righteous men carried away. Our little ones destroyed, our young men are brought in bondage, and our strong men are become weak. 23, and which is the greatest of all, the seal of Sion hath now lost her honor, for she is delivered into the hands of them that hate us. And that would be the Babylonians. 24, and therefore shake off thy great heaviness, and put away the multitude of sorrows, that the mighty may be merciful unto thee again, and the highest shall give thee rest and ease from thy labor. And it came to pass while I was talking with her, behold, her face upon a sudden shined exceedingly, and her countenance glistered, so that I was afraid of her. and mused what it might be. 26, and behold, suddenly she made a great cry, very fearful, so that the earth shook at the noise of the woman. 27, I looked, and behold, the woman appeared unto me no more. But there was a city builded, and a large place shewed itself from the foundations. Then was I afraid, and cried with a loud voice, and said, 28, where is Uriel the angel, who came unto me at the first? ? For he hath caused me to fall into many trances, and mine end is turned into corruption, and my prayer to rebuke. And as I was speaking these words, behold, he came unto me, and looked upon me. And lo, I lay as one that had been dead, and mine understanding was taken from me. And he took me by the right hand, and comforted me, and set me upon my feet, and said unto me, 31, what aileth thee? And why art thou so disquieted? And why is thine understanding troubled? And the thoughts of thine heart? ? And I said, because thou hast forsaken me, and yet I did according to thy words. And I went into the field, and lo, I have seen, and yet see that I am not able to express. Period. 33, and he said unto me, stand up manfully, and I will advise thee. 34, then said I, speak on, my Lord, in me. Only forsake me not, lest I die, frustrate of my hope. 35, for I have seen that I know not, and hear that I do not know. Or is my sense deceived, or my soul in a dream? ? 37, now therefore I beseech thee, that thou wilt shew thy servant of this vision. Okay, now this is Esdras talking to Uriel. Uriel answers back in 38. He answered me then and said, hear me, and I shall inform thee, and tell thee wherefore thou art afraid. For the highest will reveal many secret things unto thee. Period. 39, he hath seen that thy way is right, for that thou sorrowest continually for thy people, and makest great lamentation for Zion. Okay, folks, now you know a lot of people like this. I remember Grandma and a lot of the other people that had such agape love, and people were just so stupid and stubborn, and they didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to read the Bible, and she would never give up on them. She would keep praying for them, and she had a heart, gigantic heart of agape love. And same with other old-timers that I knew, and that's really been beat out of people today. And so I'm really jealous of those people that have, like our old-timers that have such agape love that they just love people so much. Where sometimes we get to where these people get so stupid out here and don't want to know and don't want to see and don't want to work at it, and they end up not even be able to have a conversation of any meaningful. It is completely childish, the things they want to talk about, just brainwashed, stupid, and stubborn. And that gets me to the point where I get, well, angry at them because it's their own demise. But here with this agape love that he has here, and I'm jealous over it. These old timers used to have it. I mean, they would love some stranger that came up, no matter how much of a gutter snipe they were. The old timers just love people, and so I'm jealous over that. But anyway, that's the way Esdras is here. He's praying for his people, no matter how wicked they were, and the idolatry, and throwing the kids in the fire and all that. But here his heart is just pining away for his people. So in 39, he has seen that thy way is right, for that thou sorrowest continually for thy people, and makest great lamentation for Zion. 40. This, therefore, is the meaning of the vision which thou lately sawest. 41. Thou sawest a woman mourning, and thou beginnest to comfort her. But now seest thou the likeness of the woman no more, but there appeareth unto thee a city builded. 43. And whereas she told thee of the death of her son, this is the solution, or interpretation, outside the scripture there. 44. This woman whom thou sawest is Zion. And whereas she said unto thee, even she whom thou seest as a city builded, whereas I say, she said unto thee that she hath been 30 years barren, those are the 30 years wherein there was no offering made in her. Okay. Now we'll break that down. There were 40 years of being cast down. That was symbolized back in the in Ezekiel with him laying on his side, and there was 2 carrying aways. The one was with Israel, and that was Salmansar with the calf and Bethel and all that. And Judah, even though they were borderline getting pounded by the Lord, they still hung in there for a long time, a lot longer than Israel. So there was 40 years altogether. But 10 years of that, Nebuchadnezzar let them stay there and offer. He let them offer even though they were under his thumb. And all this new king that Nebuchadnezzar set up had to do was obey. And he didn't, so they had siege laid on him, and that's where Nebuchadnezzar really put the hammer down, and it was really burnt with fire, and the temple was destroyed. So that was 30 years. There was 10 years they were still allowed to do the sacrifices. All right? So here in 46, when it says Solomon builded this, that's actually Zerubbabel. That's his bloodline. That's Christ's bloodline. Because you see, Esdras here is just about getting ready to see the movement out of captivity into the Nehemiah temple, or Zerubbabel, who is the offspring of Solomon here. Okay, so listen. This isn't actually Solomon, but it is Zerubbabel that comes out of his loins. That's Christ's bloodline. But after 30 years, Solomon builded the city and offered things, and then bare the barren a son. Okay, so that's that, and we'll move on here. And whereas she told thee that she nourished him with labor, that was the dwelling in Jerusalem. In 48, but whereas she said unto thee that my son coming into his marriage chamber, happened to have a fall and died, this was the destruction that came to Jerusalem. Okay, and that happened. Like I said, they were taken once by Nebuchadnezzar, set up with a king that all he had to do is stay under the thumb. The prophets told him to stay there and take their punishment, and he did not. So then came the second wave. Then came Nebuchadnezzar and laid that siege, starved them out. It was really brutal the next time. So 30 years with no temple. And now they're going to see the temple again. And it's got its ups and downs here that we're going to study with the rebuilding, how they didn't want to help. The Jews were lazy, and they wouldn't listen to the prophet. And they said it's time to build. They said, no, it ain't. They were drifting back into idolatry. Then there's all the chaos there with during the Maccabees times. So it was, knocked down a couple times, taken over by Antiochus there. So there's, and then it was finally built and then enhanced by Herod, and that's where we got the temple that Christ walked into. But here we're talking about those 30 years where they were not allowed to do their ceremonies. All right. So anyway, the destruction that came to Jerusalem, 49, and behold, thou sawest her likeness, and because she mourned for her son, thou beganest to comfort her, and of these things which have chanced, they are to be opened unto thee. For now the Most High seeth that thou art grieved unfeignedly, and sufferest from thy whole heart for her. So hath he shewed thee the brightness of her glory, and the comeliness of her beauty. And what is he talking about? He ain't talking about Zerubbabel's temple. And he ain't talking about no Herod temple with a big obelisk out front or none of that. He's talking about the New Jerusalem here, folks. So he gets to see the New Jerusalem temple here. 51, and therefore I bade thee remain in the field where no house was builded. Now that's another important issue. You see, this thing isn't, the New Jerusalem temple isn't going to come down on the defiled grounds there, where it wasn't just during Antiochus' time that there was an abomination of desolate set up. It was set up here. We're going to see it again during the tribulation. And not only that, but during the time of the Maccabees and all the Antichrist kings there, all the terrible things that went on here, including this deception about it that's coming over the world today, over the Temple Mound, as they call it, and the deception on where that's located, the Roman legion set up there. Okay, all that. See, that's not where it's going to be builded. Where is it going to be? Well, that's a mystery. It's going to be somewhere there on the sides of the north, there in Jerusalem, where never a house was builded. You got that? It's not going to be on the Temple Mount. So Jesus Christ is not coming back to walk around in the Antichrist temple there in Jerusalem. And you'll hear people like Grant Jeffries and them. I've heard them all say that. Well, who is going to walk around in that new, built with hands temple? Well, that's the Antichrist, folks. See where it's all going? This temple here that he's getting ready to see is out here in the field of Arth, wherever that's at, and that's a mystery, and we're not privy to know yet. We will when we come back with Christ there on the Mount of Olives with his 10,000 times 10,000 of the saints. In 52, for I knew that the highest would shew this unto thee. And that's Uriel talking to Esdras. 53, therefore I commanded thee to go into the field where no foundation of any building was. Did you hear that? It's not going to be up there on top of the Roman legion. The world's going to be redone. And the temple is going to be out there on the sides of the north where never did any foundation be laid. There in Jerusalem. 54, for in the place wherein the highest beginneth to shew his city, there can no man's building be able to stand. Did you hear that? So, now you see why they wanted this out of the Bible. Right? Pure prophecy. Well, I thought they said there's no prophecy in this book. Yeah, right. So there's your lying theologians there, folks. Does this sound like no prophecy in this book? Okay, but on we go here in 55. And therefore fear not, let not thy heart be affrighted, but go thy way in and see the beauty and greatness of the building, as much as thine eyes be able to see. So you see, it's a real place. It's not built with hands. It's built by God Almighty. And it's 72,000 square furlongs. Where do I get that? The end of Ezekiel. Add it up. 72,000 furlongs. A Septuagint. The name of our Old Testament that the apostles used. Okay, 56. And then shalt thou hear as much as thine ears may comprehend. 57. For thou art blessed above many other, and art called with the highest, and so are but few. But tomorrow at night thou shalt remain here. 59. And so shall the highest shew thee visions of the high things which the Most High will do unto them that dwell upon the earth in the last days. So I slept that night and another, like as he commanded me. Okay, folks, now he's going to get another vision. And this is going to be over the world government that's been over the world. It is going to go on, and it's going to have an interpretation and an ending there with Christ, all right? So this one here, we got to really have our thinking caps on when we go into chapter 11, and we has this dream of the wicked eagle coming up out of the sea. Okay. Yeah, okay. Hey, we get to 11. Put them thinking caps on, folks. We'll be there. Bye-bye.